Minecraft has no shortage of items and features, and yet no matter how much content gets added, we are always eagerly awaiting for the next big update. That's the beauty of a game that's lasted for over a decade and continues to evolve indefinitely. But as the game expands, not every addition gets the attention it deserves. Some features quickly become staples while others are overshadowed. With a game that offers so many possibilities, it's inevitable that some features end up underused, either because of their limited purpose or lack of meaningful integration. In the last video, we looked at a handful of these overlooked features and gave them new life with new mechanics that could finally make them useful, like making clocks placeable, turning goat horns into a Viking-style helmet, and giving villagers the ability to pelt the player with poisonous potatoes. But unsurprisingly, we barely scratched the surface. There are still plenty of features in Minecraft that feel like missed opportunities. Items that clutter your inventory, blocks that lack function, or mechanics that haven't evolved in years. So today, we're diving back into the world of neglected Minecraft features, and redefining them with the purpose and gameplay potential they've always deserved. I'll be going for these useless features one by one, starting with the ones that at least have some niche uses, all the way down to those that are completely pointless and in desperate need of a full revamp. And the first feature that desperately needs a revamp is without a doubt the Minecart. Minecarts have been in Minecraft since the game's infancy. Back when there were no reliable transportation options, minecarts were a really useful way to automate movement. But as time went on, faster and more flexible methods like boats on ice, horses, and eventually elytras entered the picture, completely overshadowing the minecart. What was once essential is now little more than a relic of the past. Sure, you can still put a chest, hopper, or TNT in a minecart, but perhaps the biggest issue with the minecarts are that they are capped at a speed of 8 blocks per second. If that doesn't sound slow, just remember that boats on ice can reach a ridiculous speed of 73 blocks per second, and merely sprint jumping is almost as fast as minecarts can go. Even without the elytra in the picture, minecarts are painfully outdated. Yes, Mojang did add a game rule to tweak minecart speed, but it's not really practical for survival players, and it doesn't do much to address the minecart's core issues. So let's fix that and give minecarts the relevance they deserve. First off, the most revolutionary change would be to chain minecarts together. You should be able to link up to 8 minecarts to form a proper train, allowing you to transport players in large quantities of items together across long distances. But chaining alone isn't enough. That's why we also need to increase their top speed from 8 blocks per second to 48. Suddenly they're not just a viable option, but they're competitive. Next, add an acceleration meter to the minecart, a simple UI element that replaces the XP bar, similar to how it works when riding a horse. This meter would allow players to set and maintain a fixed speed. You just hold down W briefly to accelerate to your desired speed and release the key, and the minecart would continue moving at that pace automatically. You could accelerate or decelerate at will, making this perfect for long distance or even AFK travel without needing constant input. Now let's take it a step further. Instead of whatever this is supposed to be, replace it with a blast furnace minecart. This new variant would run on any fuel, including lava buckets, and come with a fuel meter for easy tracking. Just attach it to the front of the train and it powers everything behind it without the need for powered rails. But if you do use powered rails, you can push the speed even further, up to 64 blocks per second. At that point, minecarts become more than just a throwback into the past. They become a real modern transportation system, something that can finally rival the elytra or ice boats, but with their own distinct advantages, especially for groups or mass transport. With a few key changes, minecarts could go from an underused relic to one of the most exciting and functional mechanics in Minecraft all over again. The next feature that desperately needs an update is the Glistering Melon. And while we're at it, let's give the melon as a whole a proper overhaul. Right now, regular melons are hardly considered valuable. They only restore a single hunger point per slice and rank among the worst food sources in terms of saturation. On top of that, melons require more space to grow than most other crops. Their only real advantage is convenience. You don't need to replant them, and you can compact them into blocks for storage or decoration. But let's be honest, once you've made it past your first few nights, melons quickly lose their appeal as a primary food source. So let's give them a unique twist. Now you would be able to right-click a melon block to eat it directly, just like you can with the cake. Each click would restore the equivalence of 2 melon slices worth of hunger and saturation, effectively speeding up the process of filling up your hunger bar. But the real focus here is the glistering melon. Why can't we eat it? Golden apples and golden carrots are edible, so it only makes sense that the glistering melon, especially given its use in brewing instant health potions, should also be consumable. Eating one would immediately restore a single heart, functioning as a quick on-the-go healing item. On top of that, players should be able to craft Glistering Melon blocks that will serve both aesthetic and functional purposes. You can place one down, and just like that, you can right click to quickly heal while running or dodging your opponent, without having to stop and drink a potion or eat food. It's a simple change that gives both melons and Glistering Melons an identity and utility they've always lacked, finally making them worth growing, crafting, and using even in the late game. Following up, the next item on the list is the Glow Ink Sac. Glow ink sacs are dropped by glow squids and can currently be used to make text on signs glow or to craft glowing item frames that highlight their contents. And that's pretty much it. A mob that was voted into the game purely for its aesthetic glow underwater, and even the glow is barely noticeable, so why stop there? Why should the glow ink sac be limited to just signs and item frames? Let's expand its functionality. Starting with banners, now you can right click a patterned banner with a glow ink sac to make the pattern itself emit a soft glow, making your banner stand out. Additionally, decorated pots would also benefit from this. Right-clicking a pot would let you make each individual face glow, allowing you to highlight your favorite archaeological designs and to really highlight its ancient ambience. But the most exciting new use would be for armor trims. Combine a glow ink sac with trimmed armor to add a subtle glow effect. The trims would now be able to shine in dark environments to really emphasize your presence. And just for fun, if you use a glow ink sac on a sheep, the wool will start glowing, which could essentially be a silly little Easter egg, but it's still not enough. Glow ink sacs can now be used to craft glow torches, which would be a cheap early game underwater light source that doesn't get washed away by water. Altogether, these small tweaks would expand the functionality of the item and finally give the glow ink sac the glow up it deserves. The next item that needs a glow up is the turtle scute. Scutes are obtained when a baby turtle grows into an adult, and if you've ever tried farming them, you know how painfully slow and inefficient the process is. You have to wait for the tiny baby turtles to grow up, and even then, each one only drops a single scute. 5 scutes can then be crafted into a turtle shell, but we'll get back to that later. The issue with turtle scutes is that they have exactly one niche use, and even that isn't worth the grind, especially when the process to obtain them is so tedious and unrewarding. So let's fix that. Let's expand the turtle armor set by adding a turtle backplate, which can be equipped in place of your chestplate. While it doesn't offer the same raw defense as a traditional chestplate, it's designed for rear protection. Think of it as a shield for your back. The turtle backplate absorbs a significant portion of damage from attacks that hit you from behind. It's perfect for players who prefer to avoid direct combat, making it an ideal escape tool, whether you're running from mobs, dodging creepers, or getting shot at by skeletons. But there's more. When you're sneaking, the backplate's defense increases dramatically, allowing you to completely block all rear damage. However, every blocked hit while sneaking significantly damages the backplate, so you can't just turtle up with a shield and become invincible, at least not for long. But for players truly looking to embrace the turtle lifestyle, there's now even more to complete your loadout. Introducing turtle fins and turtle knee pads. Turtle fins greatly improve your agility underwater. Not only do they make it easier to move side to side and backwards, matching the ease of forward swimming, but they also give you a burst of acceleration, allowing you to reach top speed in water much faster than normal. This makes underwater travel feel much smoother. Turtle knee pads, on the other hand, attach to your legs and offer a mix of utility and protection. They make mining while floating underwater significantly faster and provide a small defensive boost to your lower body. Together with the turtle shell and backplate, the fins and knee pads would round out a full set of turtle armor, perfect for players who want to move faster underwater, have an easier time digging, and defend themselves while escaping. But all this still doesn't address the fact that turtle shell helmets are incredibly underwhelming. So what better way to follow up turtle scutes than by finally giving the turtle shell the attention it deserves? Right now, the turtle shell grants water breathing for 10 seconds when underwater, but let's be honest, crafting a water breathing potion is far easier and more efficient than farming enough scutes for a helmet. The other use for turtle shells, brewing potions of the Turtle Master, isn't much better. It's expensive and only useful in extremely niche scenarios where the movement penalty is somehow worth it. So let's change that by tapping into what turtle shells are really known for, their defensive capabilities. From now on, the turtle shell gains unique defensive properties. It completely blocks mace attacks, though doing so significantly damages the helmet. It protects you from falling objects, including anvils and pointed dripstone. And finally, arrows and tridents will bounce off the helmet, giving you a tactical edge when under ranged attacks. Paired with a full turtle armor set, this helmet becomes part of the ultimate defensive armor, perfect for players who avoid direct combat and want serious protection from above and behind. An item that arguably has even fewer uses than the turtle shell is the Nautilus Shell. Right now it's primarily obtained by trading with wandering traders or occasionally from drowned zombies holding one, and it has only one use, crafting a conduit, essentially an underwater beacon. While that's a cool mechanic, it's unfortunate that such a rare and thematic item has no other meaningful applications. So let's fix that by giving the Nautilus Shell a proper ecosystem of its own, starting with a new dedicated mob, the Nautilus. This passive sea creature spawns exclusively near ocean ruins, and to preserve its rarity, only a limited number can exist near each ruin. The Nautilus has two visual states, head inside or outside the shell, and like the armadillo, it will retreat into its shell when sensing danger, making it harder to kill. Upon defeat, it drops its shell. These shells can now be placed for decoration, or you can craft with them. Place two Nautilus shells diagonally in a crafting grid to craft a conch, a new item that when right-clicked emits a resonating oceanic sound in the direction of the nearest ocean biome, acting like a compass for explorers to better orient themselves. But the ocean's expansion doesn't stop there. Introducing the Clam, a new block-like ocean floor mob. Clams spawn scattered across the seabed, blending into the terrain and often containing an item inside when discovered, anything from sand to coal to even a diamond. But most importantly, clams are now the only way to obtain the heart of the sea. Instead of finding it in buried treasure chests, players must search for rare clams with the hope of uncovering this valuable item. This turns every clam into a mini mystery box. Opening one could lead to excitement or disappointment. The clam also introduces several unique mechanics. When placed underwater and left open, it gradually collects sediment, eventually producing a sand block, offering a much requested method for sustainable and renewable sand. Additionally, the clam works like a functional item container. You can insert any one stack of a single item in it. If the clam is broken while it contains items, the items stay inside. And lastly, placing 4 Nautilus shells in a square in a crafting table creates a Nautilus shell block, a beautiful decorative block perfect for getting rid of all excess Nautilus shells you have. Additionally, you can now store your pets inside a Nautilus shell block. Simply push your pet into the block and break it. Your pet will safely remain stored inside. At any time, you can place the block back down and right-click it to release your pet. It's a neat and convenient way to transport your pets across long distances, whether you're moving to a new base or just want to bring them along for a new adventure without dealing with leashes, boats, or the frustration of them getting left behind. Moving on, the next item on the list is the Phantom Membrane. The Phantom Membrane is dropped by arguably one of the most annoying mobs in the game, the Phantom. Its current uses are extremely limited. You can repair elytras with it or use it to brew slow falling potions. But let's be honest, once your elytra has mending, the Phantom Membrane becomes pretty much useless. So let's change that by giving it a set of upgrades similar to the Glow Ink Sac. First up, combine the Phantom Membrane with an item frame and you'll get a clear item frame. This acts like the invisible item frame you can get through commands, letting you display items without the wooden border ruining the aesthetic. For convenience, the frame wouldn't be fully invisible when empty, so players can still locate and interact with it easily. Next, right-click a sign with the Phantom Membrane and it becomes invisible, leaving only a text floating in the air. Suddenly, you can write messages directly onto walls without the visual clutter of a sign, opening up endless design possibilities. And finally, let's take it one step further. Use a Phantom Membrane on a banner and the banner itself disappears, leaving only the pattern behind. Whether you're creating street art or hidden symbols on your build, this allows for an entirely new layer of creative expression. All three of these features would give Phantom Membranes an exciting new purpose, granting players greater creative control and breathing new life into one of the most overlooked items in the game. Next on the list is perhaps one of the most useless items in the entire game, especially if you're playing in hardcore mode, the Echo Shard. Echo Shards are found in ancient city chests, and they currently have just one use, crafting a recovery compass. It's a neat concept, a compass that points to your last death location, but this becomes completely obsolete in hardcore, where dying ends the game entirely. Even outside hardcore, it's a niche tool that's not particularly exciting or worth the risk of looting an ancient city, so let's give Echo Shards an overhaul. You can now combine Echo Shards with an armor trim to give it the echoing effect, much like the pulsating glow of the Warden's heart. The effect would cause the trimmed pattern or your armor to ripple and pulse subtly, giving it a powerful and mysterious aesthetic that feels worthy of the deep dark. But let's go further. Combine the Echo Shard with the Glow Ink Sac, and the trim takes on a glowing, pulsating effect, combining the best of both items. These changes would turn the Echo Shard from a forgettable crafting item into a highly sought-after cosmetic upgrade, letting players showcase their adventures into the deep dark with some of the most visually unique armor effects in the game. And finally, the last and perhaps most controversial item on this list, the Dragon Egg. Right now the dragon egg has no practical use beyond being a trophy. And to be fair, that's not inherently a bad thing. Trophies are meant to symbolize an achievement, and nothing says I beat Minecraft quite like the dragon egg. But for some players a greater reward would feel much more satisfying, something more tangible, something interactive. So here's the solution. When you beat the ender dragon, you can either preserve the dragon egg as a decorative trophy, or you can begin the process of hatching it. Place the dragon egg on the ground and surround it with 4 end crystals, just like you would when reviving the ender dragon. But instead of summoning the ender dragon again, this time it triggers a hatching sequence. Over time, the egg begins to crack, eventually breaking open to reveal a baby ender dragon. The baby dragon will act like a pet. It follows you around, can be made to sit by right-clicking it, and if you feed it Eyes of Ender, it grows over time into a full-grown rideable ender dragon pet. Once fully grown, your ender dragon pet can be ridden by up to 2 players. It has 50 hearts and can breathe dragon's breath to attack hostile mobs. To prevent the egg from permanently disappearing in case of the dragon's death, the egg will respawn at the location of its death, making the egg functionally indestructible even if thrown into the void. It will always regenerate at the center of the end island to ensure it's never lost. This makes the dragon egg feel meaningful while still respecting its symbolic status. You're not forced to use it, but if you do, you're rewarded with a pet that's quite literally a flex. This change would finally give the dragon egg an exciting use, while also giving you the choice to decide whether you want to have a dragon pet or would rather keep your dragon egg as it is. In the last 2 videos, I focused on some of the most underwhelming items in Minecraft, things that either had no real purpose or were only useful in specific situations, and tried to breathe new life into them by giving them fresh mechanics and reasons to matter. And now that I've gone through most of the features I wanted to cover, this will probably be the last video in this series for a while. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, subscribing, or sharing it with a friend. It really helps the channel out. And if you haven't already, check out my previous video where I reworked even more forgettable features, or the one where I gave some of Minecraft's most useless mobs a brand new purpose. Hope to see you in the next video. Bye.